You're not lazy, you just need more luck. If you lack motivation, it comes from one of two things: energy depletion or unachievable goalposts. If you're tired from working all day and you ask yourself, why am I so unmotivated, man? I come home from work, I don't want to do anything. If you envision this, when you first wake up, your energy levels might be here. And then as the day goes, man, it just creeps down and down. By the time you get home from work, you might be down to 30%, hopefully. And so I think a lot of people are in this camp where, if they boil down everything they have to do outside of their passion, it comes down to 10% left. Humans are by nature motivated, but oftentimes they're clamped down into this last 10% that you have remaining. And of course, you're not going to be able to do things to your fullest. B, goalpost. I'm a strong proponent in motivation comes before goal. I think a lot of people like to define goals first and then find motivation. Oftentimes you'll hear like, oh man, I want to make a startup. Go instantly into, okay, what do I do? What do I make my startup about? If you only have 10% energy left, you're not going to get very far on this without some kind of motivating factor. You're just not. Let's say when you're at 100%, tasks don't require as much motivation to get you to do it. But as you get less and less energetic, it takes so much more to get yourself to do anything. When we start off with the assumption that we're only going to have 10% energy left, it is very important we establish this motivating factor early. And so your next question might be, how do I define a goalpost? Define a goalpost that is achievable every single day. Now, hear me out here, because bullshit motivation videos, they spew the same advice over and over again. You need something consistent. Something that's very consistent, which most people won't think as consistent: luck. This idea was kind of first surfaced by Jason Roberts, and it's been quoted in a lot of places. But he talks about the luck surface area, which really views luck as something that you can increase with every action you take. And so let's say we have our motivation figured out, right? We're motivated when it comes to this specific thing. When we go to define the goalpost, that step is from taking actions every single day that feeds into this variable, this luck variable. Think of it like this. You woke up, this right here, believe it or not, may have directly impacted your luck. You just don't realize it. By getting good sleep, your luck just went up 0.5%. Why? More energy, more opportunity. There's things that you do every day that you wouldn't do if you had bad sleep. If you're starting off here at 90%, the odds are going to be a lot higher. You're not going to have even 10% when you step out of work that day. But this is just one, right? This is just one variable. And here's the thing, we can't always get good sleep. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, you just need to get good sleep and everything's figured out, right? There's way more, right? There's way more variables to this. Think about, picture yourself as somebody running, say, a startup. Every day you send out emails. Every email you send out, that could be a small improvement to your luck. Assuming luck starts at 0% when you wake up, right? When you're laying in bed, your luck is pretty low, right? There's no opportunity there. But you send out an email, it goes up a little bit. You add a feature to the product, a little bit of luck. And it goes deep, deep, deep. I mean, you can go as far as, hey, you went to Starbucks that day. It's a reality, right? Every day that you go walk into a Starbucks, there's a chance you walk in and you meet somebody that is directly impacted by the thing that you're working on. You just never know, right? Every little thing that you do every day adds up. All of these little things, every single thing that you do that day, it adds up to the amount of luck that you're building up. And so the end goal, right, as we were talking about defining the goalpost, your goalpost should be to maximize this every single day. When you wake up with 0%, your idea should be, hey, what can I do to get this as high as possible every single day? And it's not always going to be perfect, right? Some days you might end up, you did a shit ton and your luck value went up 1% that day. You had a 1% chance of luck, but then you might have a day where it's, hey, 0.01%. This is going to change day by day. It'll depend on a lot of factors that are largely out of your control, right? You really can't always get good sleep as hard as you try. Depending on what market you're in, there's always going to be variance there. But the point is, every bit of luck that you add to your day has an impact. His article goes on to say, luck surface area is a turn of phrase that popped out of my mouth during a discussion episode of Tech Zing a few months back, and is something I've been meaning to write about ever since, but never got around to actually doing it. If there's one thing I've discovered in recent years, it's this: the amount of serendipity that will occur in your life, your luck surface area, is directly proportional to the degree to which you do something you're passionate about, combined with the total number of people to whom this is effectively communicated. Right, so he's particularly harping on the idea of visibility. right? You could be in a basement making a God product, right? This could be the greatest product in the entire world, but nobody hears about it, nobody sees it, and so it goes unnoticed. You could be on the rooftops making a shit product. And if you look at these two products at the end of the day, this one might be doing better just because of the luck surface area. It's a simple concept, but an extremely powerful one, because what it implies is that you can directly control the amount of luck you receive. In other words, you make your own luck. So damn true. Right? When I was saying earlier about how you want something that's consistent, an unachievable goalpost that you can't manage every day is a waste of time. And so when I say luck is consistent, I'm saying that you have consistent control over the factors of luck. It is on you to potentially send out X amount of emails every day, or add X amount of features, or fix X amount of bugs, whatever. All of these add up. It might not be the case that I was able to fix a bug. Let's say, for example, you fix some bug that just so happened to affect one specific user that was important. And this happens, right? Sometimes there's bugs where it's like it's a low priority, but there's one specific person that it impacts that has a major impact and you don't even realize it, right? This might be somebody who has friends in the industry, writes articles online that go out to people, makes videos, right? These are people that have a pretty big impact, and this small amount of luck that you're introducing by fixing their issue has a long way. And so he shows a graph here showing the luck surface area. And again, he's really harping on this as being relationship between doing and then a relationship between telling, right? So doing, it's a great thing to do, right? You want to be doing things, otherwise, you have nothing to present to people. But telling is a massive part as well. As you're doing, you should also be telling. Now, although this is harping on telling, I don't think it's specifically telling, but I think it goes deeper than this. Personally, I would trade this for visibility. And again, kind of what I'm saying before, where it's like you fix this bug that just so happened to impact that one user. This has a direct impact on the visibility. You didn't need to tell them about it. It's just, hey, you happened to do that one thing that had a major impact on the overall luck surface area. And there's a tweet here from Sam Altman, regardless of how you feel about him, you cannot deny he's achieved a lot of great things in his life, and he's been very consistent. He has this tweet here where he says, give yourself a lot of shots to get lucky is even better advice than it appears on the surface. Luck isn't an independent variable, but increases super linearly with more surface area. You meet more people, you make more connections between new ideas, learn patterns, etc. And of course we have this meme here, which really perfectly exemplifies this. Are you winning, son? You may not see it, right? Dad might be looking at this kid here and think, oh, he's just sitting on the computer all day. Little does he know, everything he's doing is adding to his luck surface area, right? He's doing little bits here and there. It's an article from Aaron Francis. He kind of harps pretty much on the same article from Jason Roberts, but he kind of elaborates a little bit more on his own perspective. Doing the work is important, right? You do need something to show at the end of the day. Every one of these actions you can kind of attribute to that. Woke up with good sleep, that's a bit more underlining. But things like emails, right? This is a very visible action. Adding a feature is visible. Fixing a bug. All of these have some element of work to it. I guess you could argue even sleep has some element of work to it. And so luck really is work times visibility. And the thing I want to take away from this one is this part here. Your curiosity will naturally pull you in certain directions. So don't be afraid to go super deep into a topic that you're interested in. When a person is truly interested in the thing they're writing or talking about, their excitement is contagious. It kind of goes back to what I was saying, where you can start here and just say, hey, I want to make an AI startup, but there's not going to be much there. There's no substance. If you go deeper and you actually investigate what it is that you truly want to do within that field, you're going to have so much more motivation, and it's going to impact everything. Like even in this case of, the luck equation, your luck is going up without you realizing it just by being more passionate, right? How many times have you heard somebody talk about something they're working on and you're just completely enthralled, right? You really don't, you may not even agree with what they're working on. You may think it's like, oh, this is a bad idea. But because they're so passionate and invested in it, all of a sudden you're thinking, hey, maybe this guy has something. I've seen so many cases of really bad products getting out the woodwork just because somebody is super passionate and convincing with what they're working on. Richard Wiseman is another person that kind of goes with this line of thinking. His is a little bit different, where he has 4 principles that he outlines. And so he talks about, maximizing the opportunity. Part of this could be networking. Part of this, as I mentioned, really could just be being visible in some way, showing that you're putting effort into your product, all this stuff. Listening to your intuition is another part of his belief. This one's tricky because sometimes your intuition really can lead you in the wrong direction. But they always talk about the gut feeling. I think this is really a hard thing to quantify. And so I wouldn't attribute this to my line of thinking. Expect good fortune. This one's a bit more of a manifestation type of vibe, expecting that you'll have a good outcome. I really resonate more with Jason Roberts' opinion on it. And the thing that kind of bugs me a little bit is that a lot of people assume they don't have this control, and they'll say things like, you just got lucky. Like when you see words like this, This makes you realize that people don't see it this way, right? They assume that luck is just something that you have absolutely no control over. Yes, you can't control having rich parents, absolutely. But let's say you have rich parents. I mean, that's going to increase your luck quite a bit, right? You'd be looking at probably like if we assume waking up with good sleep gives you 0.5%, this would probably be, honestly, let's be honest, that's probably a 5% increase. Like, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that being rich doesn't help. It maximizes so many things. But at the end of the day, think about how many rich people didn't get anywhere, and think about how many poor people got somewhere. If we assume you get 5% from having rich parents, like, okay, you're at 5%. If you didn't maximize all these other things, at the end of the day, the person with rich parents, they might have squeezed by with 6% that day. But the poor person, hey, dude, if they were locked in and they were focused on this, adding up everything over time, they might have ended their day with 10%, right? So yes, there is advantages to kind of things that you're born with and things of that nature. But being poor does not mean you have no control over these factors. You can still come out on top just because you put more effort into these little things that you can control. Find that you lack motivation. I encourage you to think about it a little bit deeper. As far as energy goes, you should really try to maximize this. Assume that there's things that are taking away from your energy that maybe you can control. But even outside of that, I think it's very important to have an achievable goalpost. And for me personally, that has always been the idea of luck surface area. This is something we can manage every single day. We can control the amount of luck we get at the end of the day. And really, it will feed into your motivation, right? When you wake up every day and you picture it as, hey, I have 0% luck. I start off with 0. And you think about everything that you do adding up to that amount. And here's the thing, right? You might have a day where you did only get 2%. Maybe you hit on a lot of the stuff, but there's a lot that you couldn't hit that day. Guess what? 2% is more than 0, right? This 2% day that you had might have been the difference maker. Let's say you're somebody who's applying for jobs and you send out 100 resumes. 2% is pretty good, right? That's 2 resumes that landed is more than 0. This is important to realize. Every day, this is something that you can track, and it directly impacts your end result. If you want to someday be, a major person, focus on this stuff, man. Finding everything that you can do to increase your luck at the end of the day will get you much further. And it'll motivate you knowing that, hey, all I had to do was this one thing. Control your own luck. Maybe you didn't go to Starbucks. I don't know why I put Starbucks. Maybe you didn't go outside that day, but at least you sent some emails, right? Something other than 0 here is a win.